Have you ever wanted the ability to truly understand women so well that it felt like you were reading their mind? Imagine having the ability to get to know someone on such a deep level that it's like you've known them for years. How good would that be, to be able to read a woman's subconscious? Well, today, I'm going to show you a way that you can achieve that. Now, this is something that very few people know about because it's a little bit out there, but I've personally used this technique for years, and it's something that always blows people's minds. And it's one of the quickest ways to create a deep connection with women that you're building attraction with. Now stick around, because I'm not only going to explain how this works, but I'll also guide you through this step by step so that you can end this video with some really useful value. So this is something that I came across in Neil Strauss's book, The Game, and it's a little game that he plays called The Cube. Now, what he doesn't tell you is that there's a whole bunch of these different types of games, and it's a type of psychology called Kokoology. Now, Kokoology is Japanese, and it comes from the word kokoro, meaning spirit or mind, and it's about using imaginative scenarios to uncover subconscious thoughts. So think of it as a mix of psychology and storytelling, and each answer that person gives reveals a hidden part of their personality and their fears and their desires, and sometimes even things they didn't even realize about themselves. Now, the best part is that Kokoology is pretty light-hearted, so it doesn't feel very invasive, but it has the power to create really deep, meaningful connections. And that's why it's perfect for dates and attraction builders, icebreakers, or even just getting to know anyone, really. Now, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to run the game with you. And then afterwards, I'm going to explain the answers and what they mean. And then finally, I'm going to tell you how to set this game up so it comes across as an effortless attraction builder. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to ask them to do is I'm going to ask them to close their eyes and imagine a blank space. It can be whatever blank space that you like. Now within that space, there's a cube. You see the cube, and I want you to tell me if it's a big cube or a small cube. Great. And then I want you to tell me if it's see-through or solid. And the very last bit is it floating or is it on the ground? Amazing. Now, you've got your empty space, you've got your cube. Next, I want you to imagine that there's a ladder. Tell me where the ladder is. Is it near the cube or is it far away? Now tell me if the ladder is easy to climb, if it's a small ladder, or is it a really tall ladder that's difficult to climb? So, the next bit, we've got our cube and we've got our ladder. Now, there are flowers. Tell me, where are the flowers? Are they in the empty space? Are they on the cube? Are they on the ladder? They could be whatever you want. Now tell me if there's a lot of flowers. Is there a small bunch? Or is there a big field of flowers? Are there any flowers that stand out? Okay, so we've got our cube, we've got our ladder, and we've got our flowers in our empty space. The next bit, there's a horse. Do you see the horse? Amazing. Now I want you to tell me, where is the horse? Is he close to the flowers? Is he close to the ladder? Is he close to the cube? Is he far away? Is he close? And now I want you to tell me, what is he like? And I don't mean describe what he looks like. What kind of energy does he give off? Is he energetic? Is he happy? Is he calm? What kind of presence does he have? Incredible. Now we've got our cube, we've got our ladder, we've got our flowers, and we've got our horse. Finally, there's a storm. Do you see where the storm is? Now I want you to tell me, is the storm above you? Is it far away? Is it looming towards us? Or is it outside, locked away? Is it right on top of us? Is it a manageable storm? Is it a small drizzly storm? Or is it tearing shit up? Amazing. And that's the end of the game. But now you're probably wondering, what do all the images mean? So now we move on to our next bit, which is our answers. Now this is where you can have a little bit of fun, because your answers might not always be correct. And this is where we have an element of a skill called cold reading coming in, because you're going to explain what the answers are, but you can also give her the opportunity to tell you that you're wrong, because that also gives her the opportunity to tell you more about her. So even if you're right or wrong in this sense, you're still learning about her, because this is never going to be 100% accurate. When it is, it's incredible. But when it's not 100% accurate, that's okay, because you're still learning about each other, and that's the whole point of creating this deeper connection. Now for the fun bit of interpreting the answers. Now you can always say to her, like I said, I might not be 100% perfect at this, but you're allowed to call me out if I get this wrong. But we're going to discover things about each other. So first of all, the cube. Now, the cube is meant to represent your ego. So depending on how big or small it is, it means that you think a lot of yourself, or you think very little of yourself. So this can be a chance for you to say, if you think very little of yourself, you know, she should think a lot more of herself. Try and give her a bit of a boost. And if she has an ego the size of a hotel, you can say that she's got a bit of a princess complex. Now, if her cube is transparent, that means that she's quite an open person and she's happy for people to get to know her, and she enjoys deep conversations pretty quickly and easily. But if it's quite a solid cube, which most people's are, that means that she's built up some walls over time. And you can always say it takes a while to chip away at those walls, and maybe it takes some time for someone to get to know you on a deeper level. Now, you can talk about the cube floating, or if it's on the ground. If it's floating, that means that they've got quite a creative mind. And if it's on the ground, that means that they're quite level-headed and logical, and they probably know what they want out of life. You know, quite a grounded way of thinking. So the cube has discovered our ego, how open we are, and how creative we are. Now the next thing we talk about is the ladder, and the ladder represents our career. Now depending on how close the ladder is to the cube is how personal we are attached to our career. So people that are usually in the arts are very personally attached to their career, so it's usually right up against the cube. But if it's something that you're just doing for the sake of doing a job, you know, we all need money, then maybe the ladder isn't so personally attached to us. Now, depending on how big or small or difficult the ladder is to climb, that represents how we feel about our challenge from our job, whether it's something that we feel we see the end of, whether it seems like a never-ending task. It kind of represents the confidence and competence we feel with our career. Now, the next bit is the flowers. And this is quite a nice one because the flowers represent our loved ones. So if we've got a small bunch of flowers, then that means that we've got a small amount of people that we keep very close to us. And if we have a large amount of flowers, like a big field of flowers, that usually means that we're very friendly and we get along with everyone, and maybe we treasure each friendship just as equally. Now, depending on where the flowers are, especially if it's a small bunch, it could be close to the ladder, so maybe there's some people at work that are very close to them. Maybe it's on the cube or near the cube, that means that they're probably friends or family. So you can always ask, like, do you have a small amount of people that you're close with, or do you try to make friends with everybody? Or are there those few people that stand out to you? You know, this is a chance for you to really dig into those deep conversations. Now, the next one is the fun one, which is the horse. Now, the horse really is for the girls, and it's meant to represent the ideal lover. So you can ask where the horse was, and if it was something that was close to the ladder, close to the cube, or close to the flowers, can be where you expect to find this ideal partner. Sometimes the partner is really far away, so that means that maybe they're not looking for a relationship, or maybe they just want them to be disconnected from their work and their family friends until they're ready to introduce them to everybody. Again, you can sort of play around with this conversation and say what they think it might be interpreted as. And finally, the last one is the storm, which is their fears, worries, and anxieties and how they deal with them. So if the storm is far away, it means that they try to avoid their problems and worries. If it's right over them, that means that they're always thinking that there's something that's going to attack them around the corner, or maybe just they're consistently worried and anxious. And I know in this modern day and age, everyone's got anxiety, so it's something that most people can relate to in conversation anyway. And also you can ask how difficult the storm was to deal with. If it's a small drizzle, then it's like, oh, there's always problems, but you can deal with it. And if it's a big storm looming that's going to tear shit up, then that means that they're really worried about what's going to happen in the future, which, you know, is a pretty normal and understandable answer. Now, what all of these 5 avenues open up with the cube and the ladder and the horse and the flowers and the storm is they give you the opportunity to talk even deeper about those conversations. And this is how you create those deeper connections with people. And that's when you can start building attraction, especially with the horse. If you're asking what their ideal lover is and you say, so you wanted someone who was fun energy or playful and doesn't take life too seriously, that's when you can start, you know, mimicking that kind of energy. Now, I said to you, how do you set this up? Because it's quite a deep subject to suddenly talk about. And the way to do that is by presenting it as more of a game. Now, most people these days are students or they've studied something, so if you ever come across the boring conversation of, what did you study or what do you do? I always say that there's a huge amount of psychology students that I've met, and if by any chance you meet a psychology student, you've hit the jackpot with this, because that's where you say the line, if you studied psychology, can you read my mind? And they will eye roll you hard. They have heard that so much. And that's where you say, hey, I can actually read your mind. And that's when you'll start schooling them, because most psychology students don't know about cocoology, because, you know, it's a bit of a pseudoscience. So they're not going to know all of the different types of psychology out there, especially the Japanese ones. So then you start teaching them that, and then you say, let me get the chance to really read your mind and get to know you a little better. Now, I'm still kind of new at this, so I might completely fail, but my friend taught me this and I thought it was incredible, and I just want to try it on you if you're okay for me to try and get to know you a little better. And chances are they'll be intrigued, and that's when you start playing the game. Guys, I can't tell you how much I have used the cube out there in the field whenever I'm trying to chat to girls. I do it at parties, I do it for people that I'm not even trying to attract, just for practice. Try it on your friends. I promise you guys, this is going to be a game changer for you if you're trying to build deeper connections with girls in a very short amount of time. I hope you took some serious value away from this. If you did, let me know about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button, subscribe if you want, because there's going to be more of these coming out very, very shortly. Take care, guys.